associate. Hey guys, Dr. Prometheus here with week 10 and 11. Let's get our stuff up here. Simulation window. Let's get this back up here. Let's get our emails back up here. We're gonna keep on the far right. Let's look at our roster. Let's look at our injury report. So McClellan's out right now. Bostic Briggs, they're good. Slauson's out, so we're actually gonna have probably Ola or De La Puente. So he's doubtful. McClellan's questionable, but we're gonna keep him out. But we're looking pretty good here. So let's go to the game simulation. Actually, let's not. Let's look at our defense. Okay, Cutler fails. Clausen, Forte, Marshall, Jeffrey, Holmes, Wilson, Curse. Okay. Special teams is good. So yeah, we're gonna have Ola. Conti Vareem, Mundy Butler. Okay. Fuller's gonna be a strong safety spot. Okay. Conti. Yeah, Conti's probably the better nickel. Dime's good. Bricks Bostic. Would be good. So attitude. He's a receiver leader. He's got a mild conflict with Zach Miller. He's a conflict with Zach Miller. Mild conflict with Slauson. Slauson's the offensive leader. He's a mentor, right? M is mentor. No, it's mention. Loyalty's low. Content. Yeah, so he's got one player mention now. He's a team mentor. So yeah, I was right. Affinity with Matt Slauson. He's got affinity with Matt Slauson. Kyle Long doesn't have anything with anything. Obviously, Jared Allen's our defensive front leader. Briggs, our mentor here. Tim Jennings in the secondary. Oh, because he didn't want to play. He was playing like crap the one day. Mundy is, of course, a secondary leader. So, standard view. I think what we're actually going to do is we're going to look at it this way. So, I think we're good here. Let's look at injury report of Green Bay. So, Green Bay is going to be. Bija Raji will be playing. Tim Mathis stays out. Garth Gerhardt, their backup center's out. Nick Perry's out. Becta Ari, their starting left tackle, I believe, is going to be playing. That's it. We're only going to be losing Slauson and McClellan. And then, let's see, team cohesion. Cohesion is pretty good. Decent. So best left tackles of the game. None of ours. Quarterback comparison. Jay Cutler's in the middle. It's 2 fourth quarter comebacks though, so it's better. Green page. So it's the top prospects. So top prospects in the league. So first year, or it ends up being second year. So I'm to second year players. So pre draft. So second year players and third year quarterbacks. After the draft, it's first year players and second year quarterbacks. So what we're looking at is first year players. There's no second year quarterbacks on here. So we do have Kyle Fuller, Ego Ferguson out here. We're playing great. Roster strengths. We both know that. Acquired trade information. Okay. So let's see. Let's look at the full standings. We're 4-4. Green Bay is 7-1. So Atlanta's 4-4, and New Orleans are 4-4, tied at the top of their division. The New York Jets are 7-1. Seattle's 6-2. Arizona, San Francisco 4-4. So really, we could possibly be competing if this playoff started today for a playoff spot. Because it'd be Chicago, New Orleans, Dallas, Arizona, and San Francisco all fighting for one. On the other hand, there's no teams. Full scouting report. Here's a full scouting report for these guys. We have a lot to worry about here. Good average, passing. This is what's gonna kill us. Just as long as we don't have any crazy stuff. Let's look at ourselves. Very good reading the defense. Excellent moving tackles, hold recognition, catching traffic, run block, block. Technique, defend the run. Average, hitting ball carriers. Good. Average pass rush strength. Very good pass rush. Excellent man-to-man. Good play diagnosis. Okay. So let's look at the power rankings, and we'll start this week. So we are almost, wow. Ranking-wise, we're almost down at the bottom. In the power rankings. Wow. Okay. So let's see if we can take on and beat our division rivals. So Green Bay has elected to receive. So there's Robbie Gould for touchback. King on the run. Aaron Rodgers here gives to Eddie Lacy for 2 yards. Here's Aaron Rodgers again to Stark, breaking a couple pair of tackles and gets 12 yards. Intentional face mask gets another 15. So here's Eddie Lacy for another 12 yards. And here's Rodgers throwing, and Jordy Nelson picks up 5. Here's Eddie Lacy running for 2 yards. 3rd and 3. Will Sutton pressures the quarterback, and it's going to be a punt. But Rodgers is going to go for it, and he doesn't get the first down. So here's Cutler throwing a double coverage, and this is a bad sign. Here's thrown away from the coverage, but he steps in, and he doesn't complete that one. So it's a punt. So Aaron Rodgers to Jordy Nelson for 39 yards. Eddie Lacy has a 9-yard run there. 2nd and 2. Eddie Lacy has 5 yards. So Aaron Rodgers throwing it to Nelson for 23 yards and a touchdown. So let's see if we can get something going. Here's Cutler to Brandon Marshall for 4 yards. Here's Cutler to Bennett for 3 yards. False start. So that'll be 5-yard penalty, and we won't even get anything. So it'll be punted back to him. That's a good return. But here's Rodgers to Rodgers for 40 yards. And here's Lacy for 7 yards. Green Bay is about to about to score again, but there's a loss of 1. 3rd and 4. Can the Bears stand strong? And they can't. So here goes Cutler. Kadeem carry for 8 yards. Cutler, Kadeem carry for 2 yards. There's Kadeem carry for 6 yards. So Kadeem carry, but there's a false start. Kellen, there's -5. There's Forte with 13 yards. And Morgan Burnett is down on the play. There's Forte getting 6 yards. 2nd and 4. Here's Forte for 2 yards. 3rd and 2. Let's see if we can get anything. There's Brandon Marshall for 7 yards, and he goes out of bounds for a first down. And here's Bennett for 5 yards from Jay Cutler. There's Cutler giving it to Forte, loss of 2. 3rd and 7. And Jeffrey drops a very coachable pass. There's encroachment. There's 5 yards, and there's Lacey running for 2 yards. And there's some pressure by Jared Allen with an incomplete pass. There's Lacey losing 4, and so the Bears stand strong. And there's a fumble and on special teams, and Green Bay gets the ball back. So there's Cobb for 16 yards from a pass from Aaron Rodgers. There's Aaron Rodgers giving it to Eddie Lacy for 6 yards. They're looking at the getting on the door again to score, but Lacy loses 2 there. And there's Rodgers having a lot of room, rushing for the touchdown. So it's 21-0 already. There's Forte for 5 yards. There's Forte loses 3, 3rd and 8. See if Cutler can do something. And that's incomplete. Tramon Williams from the play. So that's a terrible punt or a good return. There's Lacey losing 1, 3rd and 11, and there's a sack on Aaron Rodgers. So there's Forte for 1 yard. 2nd and 9. There's Kadeem Carey for 17 yards on a first down. There's Martellus Bennett for 6 yards. 2nd and 4, and Matt Forte runs for 3 yards. 3rd and 1. Matt Forte stopped for no gain. There's Aaron Rodgers to Eddie Lacy for 1 yard. 2nd and 9. Rodgers is throwing it to Rodgers for 22 yards. That Rodgers to Rodgers connection is doing good. There's Kuhn for 15 yards. And there's an incomplete pass. And there's another incomplete pass. And this one is caught by Jordy Nelson on a Kyle Fuller for the first down. Here's another one by Jordy Nelson for 13 yards. And here's Rodgers getting sacked. And here's Rodgers throwing to Devontae Adams for 16 yards. 1st and goal. So Cobb gets to the 1. And Starks puts it in from the 1 yard line. So it's 28-0. There's Forte with some daylight for 19 yards. Trying to get something going here. And Cutler can't get anything going. There's actually a holding and a false start. So that's a first down, but there's -5. There's a pass caught by Jeffrey for 14 yards on 2nd and 15. And there's Forte for a 5-yard rush. There's Cutler. And it's intercepted on the 3-yard line. So we go in the second half. Let's see if we can get something going. There's Kadeem Carey for 9 yards. There's Cutler overthrown. That's offensive holding, so it's -10 on us. There's Miller getting a -4, so it's 3rd and 15. And Chris Williams, you can't get the ball to him. So Aaron Rodgers rushes and scrambles for 6 yards. There's Rodgers giving it to Starks, loses 2, 3rd and 3. And Boykin only gets 2 yards. He's stopped. So we're going to go back to the Bears. Kadeem Carey loses 1, 2nd and 11. Cutler is looking to throw, and a pass is incomplete. 3rd and 11. Kadeem Carey finds a hole, but he's 2 yards short. Only picks up 9 there. So Aaron Rodgers gives to Starks for no gain. But there's a holding, so it's going to be 2nd and 20. There's another rush for 4. Here's Starks. He gets stopped for no gain. 3rd and 16. Cobb catches a pass from Rodgers. Only gets 7 yards, so it's going to be put back to Jay Cutler. So give it to Carey, loses 2. There's Cutler rushing and gets 10. And there's Chris Williams making up for that drop pass for the first time. So Kadeem Carey gets 2 yards. There's Kersey picking it up for 9 yards, but it's a holding, so it's going to be brought back. There's Kersey making 8. 3rd and 10. Let's see if Cutler can do something. And Zach Miller loses 4. Still can't do anything. Here's Starks going for 3 yards. There's Rodgers giving it to Kuhn, but he loses 4. 3rd and 11. There's Starks only getting 5, trying to do the safe play. And it's put it back to Chicago. There's Cutler to Bennett, but an incomplete pass. There's Cutler deciding to run the ball, but it's going to be 4 yards. 3rd and 6. Here's Bennett picking up 17 yards for the first down. Here's another one by Bennett for 8 yards. Here's Cutler, give it to Zach Miller, trying to make up for all those losses, 7 yards there. There's Cutler evading the rush for 8 yards, 2nd and 2. Let's see, Team Carey picks up 5, so it's 1st and goal, and that is incomplete pass, trying to get to Santonio Holmes. Carey picks up 2, 3rd and 5. Carey picks up the 5 yards and the touchdown, so Chicago's finally on the board, 28-7. There's Cobb making a 41-yard reception. And Starks runs for 6. Green Bay's knocking on the door again. Lacey gets for 2. 3rd and 2 on the 9. Let's see what we can do. I think Bostic actually gets to the 2, but it's going to be a false start. So there's 1 yard by Lacey. Nelson gets the touchdown. 35-7. Team Carey going off the right. Tackle for no gain. Here's Cutler giving it to Chris Williams, and it is batted down. Team Carey loses 1 yard there and fumbles it. So Green Bay is looking to capitalize on this game again. So Starks, for no gain, he stopped. And actually, it was what Green Bay went for it, couldn't get it. Team Carey, 7 yards. Here's Jay Cutler giving it to Carey again for 4 yards. Here's Cutler throwing it to Chris Williams for 16 yards. Here's a deep pass to Santonio Holmes for 15 yards, but it's going to be brought back for holding. But Chris Williams gets 13. There's another false start, 2nd and 12. There's a no gain there. And Zach Miller, that's an incomplete pass, and it's going to be punted back to Green Bay. So James Starks only gets 1 there. From Aaron Rodgers, Starks gets 5 there at 3rd and 4. Starks gets 1 yard, and it's going to be punted back to Chicago. So Jay Cutler, give it to Team Carey for 5 yards. Carey gets a handoff again for 3 yards. Offensive holding those to be brought back. There's Chris Williams, catches the ball for 7 yards. And here's Bennett for 2 yards. End of the 4th quarter, and we got stomped. Wow. Wow. Let's look at the box score. Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams. Wow. We only did throw 1 interception. Deep pass, end of the first half. No big deal. But we couldn't get this offense rolling. And that fumble. We just couldn't defend them. We defended the rush decently good. Team carry 72 yards and 17 carries. Cutler, 19 of 32, 128 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And Rodgers killed us. 22 completions off 27, 281 yards, 4 touchdowns. And they got a lot of short yards. Jordy Nelson killed us all day long with those 2 touchdowns. Martellus Bennett. I mean, we didn't have a lot of drop pass. Alshon Jeffrey dropped a couple that were bad. Brandon Marshall, we couldn't get him involved. Sean Rushton had a deep interception. Team Carey lost 1 fumble. Chris Williams lost another on special teams. We had 1 sack that was actually 2 sacks, 1 by Mundy and 1 by Lamar Houston. They didn't have any sacks, so that's good. Tackles. Still our safeties getting the most tackles. So we're playing a lot of safeties in the box. Hurries, knockdowns. Passes defensed. Tillman had 2. That's the only ones we had. Richardson had 2. Jamal Williams had 2. Clay Matthews had 1. Claycy Hayward and Mike Daniels. Bucktower and Corey Lensley. So center and left tackle, that's actually hurt. Special teams tackles. Where is return? Yeah, so they didn't do overly too great. I guess we just had terrible punting. So Slauson's probably going to be playing. Shea McClellan is still out. It's questionable. We actually might play Christian Jones a little bit. Mod Dixon, I don't care if he's mad. So Slauson, Bing Yuen, Ola, you go in reserve. Christian Jones gonna be playing. So that's good. Okay, this is gonna be Slauson. Maybe he needs to play. He needs to play. I need to take down Sessions. That's who I need to take down. So that's good. Salson, this is going to be Ola, this is going to be Ola. No, this one's going to be Ola, this one's going to be Britain, that's going to be Britain. So we're good there. Basic defense. So this is going to be I think I'm going to go like this. Start Jones here. Williams going to be right here. Allen. I think we're actually going to start Ego Ferguson, ladies and gentlemen. Ego Ferguson is now our starting right tackle. He's played 9 games, started 2 games, 25 tackles, 12 assists, 1.5 sack. Obviously, he doesn't have any interceptions. Because he started 5 games out of 7, 6 tackles, 5 assists, and only 5 sacks. Ratliff has 26 tackles, 5 assists, so that's 12 tackles. So I think this is the one we're going to go with. 3. Got 1. Oh, yeah. Goal line defense. Jones. Ferguson. Okay, that's good. Nickel. Ferguson. Brooks Bostic. Dime. Brooks Bostic. Ferguson. Alright. So. Let us play Minnesota. Minnesota. They're losing. Chad Greenlay is probably not going to play. Adam Thielen probably is. And so is their starting tackle, Phil Lozold. So Christian Ponder is actually going to be starting for them. This is based off last year's. Let me look at the Vikings' Minnesota Vikings. Scout. So yeah, they are putting Christian Ponder out there instead of Teddy Bridgewater. So that is right. So we got to watch out for this run game by AP. Looks like they've been rushing a lot. They've been all right against the rush. Defense, passing, offense, a lot of short check downs. Passing defense, they've been all right. They got a pretty good defense. See if we can break down their offense. So, simulate the game. Let's see what the preview is. So that obviously they give us, because Christian Ponder isn't better than Cutler. That isn't saying much after the past mediocre games we've had from Jay Cutler this season. AP is better than Forte. Well, statistically, yes. Receiver, we got better receivers than them. They have a better offensive line, trying to stack the line to be able to run AP. We have a better defensive line. They have a better linebacker. We have a better secondary. One of the best secondaries in the league. Somehow, not counting our safeties. Our safeties are horrible. Those are the same. I have better safeties or better corners than their receivers because it only goes by corners. So corners, receivers. I have better receivers to their corners. They have better blockers to my front seven, but I have better blockers against their front seven. So points per game, we're almost last. They're 19th, so they're not far ahead of us. Allowing, they're 24th, we're 29th. We've allowed Green Bay to blow us out twice, like completely. Per game rushing, they have a better rushing lines allowed. I've let teams rush all over me. Passing yards per game, Jay Cutler's had a mediocre season. Passing yards allowed, a lot of teams have been able to rush on me, so we're fourth. So that's kind of strange. Total yards allowed, they're better, or for me per game, they're better. In allowed their game, they're better. Turnover margin doesn't say too much. My secondary, so they still say I should win by 1. So let's see how this goes. So we are going to get the ball first. So here's Cutler giving it to Bennett. That's a legal use of the hands. There's Jeffrey for 13. That legal use of the hands was against Minnesota. There's Cutler just underthrowing his receiver. There's Forte losing 1, 3rd and 11. Here's Forte getting 6 and doesn't go anywhere, so there's a punt. So there's a stop there. And Peterson only getting 6 there, so there's 3rd and 5. Peterson loses 1. It's going to be pumped back. Jay Cutler given to Matt Forte. Forte's gone. 66 yards and a touchdown. So it's 7 on the board. There's Adrian Peterson. It gets stopped for 3 yards. There's Ponder throwing it to Smith and getting 5 yards. 3rd and 2. And there's Patterson for 6 yards on a first down. There's Christian Ponder to Peterson, loses 3 yards. And here's Greg Jennings for 24 yards. It's a good pass by Ponder, short pass. There's Peterson getting nothing. And here's Stoker getting 9 yards on the rush. 3rd and 1. Peterson loses 2, so we're keeping Peterson in check. So there's Forte, stop for no gain. And there's Cutler scrambling for 6 yards. 3rd and 4. Screen pass to Kim Carey for 10 yards. There's Cutler to Forte for -4 for a loss of 4. There's Forte around the side, rushes for 42 yards. There's Cutler slinging it to Santonio Holmes for no gain, though. There's Cutler sacked by Robinson. And here's Cutler giving it to Santonio Holmes for 33 yards and a touchdown. Good throw by Cutler. There's Stoker for 6 yards. 2nd and 4. There's Peterson for 3 yards. There's McKinnon getting 6 yards and a first down. So there's Stoker into the secondary for 16 yards. And here's Peterson rushing for 7 yards end of the first quarter. So there's Peterson only getting 1 yard there, stopped by Briggs. 3rd and 2. Stoker is stopped by Ego Ferguson for no gain, so it's going to be punted back to Cutler. Forte rushes for 8 yards to get him out of the pin. And there's Brendan Marshall catching it for 33 yards. And there's Bennett with a reception of 8 yards. There's Cutler getting it to Brendan Marshall for 13 yards. There's Sean John dropping the pass from Cutler, 2nd and 10. There's another drop pass, this one by Marshall, and then a false start. So Marshall's going to make a reception for no gain, be punted back to Minnesota. Here's Peterson for 7 yards. Here's Peterson getting, finally breaking a run for 22 yards. There's Stoker losing 1 yard. 2nd and 11. Stoker gets that 1 yard back, 3rd and 10. And Christian Ponder scrambles with the ball for 18 yards, first down. There's Peterson making a reception for 10 yards. Here's Peterson getting the handoff for 2 yards, 2nd and 8. There's Patterson making the catch for 3 yards. And here's Peterson going for 9 yards and first down. And there's Jennings finishing off the drive with a touchdown. And here's Forte going for 2 yards. Here's Cutler, a long bomb to Alshon Jeffrey for 42 yards, and it's caught. Here's Cutler for 1 yard, and he runs again for 4 yards. 3rd and 5. Here's Kadeem Carey for 4 yards. We got a possible, and we're gonna go for it. And Forte picks it up, and there's Jeffrey for 10 yards. And here's an incomplete pass, but it's gonna be holding. And here's a good pass on the next play after the holding to Marshall for 26-yard touchdown. And there's Greg Jennings making a 12-yard reception. Jarius Wright can't hold on to the ball there, and Ponder is sacked by Sutton. And there's Wright for 6 yards, but it's still going to be 4th and 10. So we're going to kneel it down and give the ball back in the third quarter, up 21-7. Here's Peterson for a 5-yard gain from a pass. And here's Peterson again, rushing for 9 yards this time. There's Jennings catching the ball for 14 yards. There's Peterson for no gain. And here's Peterson rushing for 3 yards, 3rd and 7. There's Ponder, sails the ball past Cordell Patterson, so it's not caught. So we punt it back. Here's Cutler to Carey for no gain. Here is an incomplete pass by Cutler, and Cutler giving it to Forte, loses 3 yards. He's on the 1, but we punt it out there. Kyle Rudolph makes a reception of 4 yards. Here's a long pass to Wright, but it's tipped away. Here's one by Wright, caught for 3 yards, 3rd and 13. Here's a deep ball, falls incomplete by Christian Ponder. So, Cutler, after a false start, Kadeem Carey loses 1. And here is a flag on the play for a holding, so we're going to be brought back again. Marshall only for a gain of 1, 3rd and 25. And that's a bad throw. It's going to be punted back to Minnesota. Ponder, incomplete pass. There, Ponder throwing in double coverage, another incomplete pass. There's Patterson only getting 2 yards, and we kick back to Cutler. Cutler gives him at Forte for 1 yard, 2nd and 9. Kadeem Carey around the end for 2 yards, 3rd and 7. Carey doesn't get anything there, so it's going to be punted back to Minnesota. And that's actually a good return there. And let's see what can happen with Ponder. There's Peterson for 9 yards, so 1st and 10 on the 15. There's Peterson actually losing 4. This one's to Patterson for 18 yards, and he stopped on the 1. 1st and goal, and he gives it to Peterson, and he gets in there. So Minnesota is creeping and made it a 7-point game. There's Forte losing 3 yards, and here's Kadeem Carey getting those 3 yards back. And here's Zach Miller getting an interception for getting the reception for 23 yards. Carey on the pass loses 1. Here's Forte off the right guard and gets 6. There's Carey losing 2, so it's been punted back to Minnesota. Here's 1 to Peterson for 6 yards. 2nd and 4. There's Peterson, gets 5 yards. False start, so it's 1st and 15. There's a catch by Peterson, and Peterson rushes for 4 yards for the 1st down. So here's Peterson getting 7 yards. It's in the 4th quarter. Can the Bears hold on to this? Here's Peterson getting 4 yards. 1st and 10. Kyle Rudolph gaining 10 yards. And 1st and 10. So Peterson gains 1 yard there. There's a screen pass. Adrian Peterson gets nothing. So actually he gets the 1st down. Actually, it's a fumble. It's a turnover of some kind. We'll have to look at what happened there. But there's Forte for 6 yards. There's Bennett catching the ball for 3 yards. There's Cutler, incomplete pass, 3rd and 7. Cutler throwing it, but Forte loses 1. So there's Peterson for a loss of 4. 2nd and 14. Jennings gets 6 there, but it's going to be a flag, so it's going to be brought back. And Peterson only gets 4, 3rd and 18. Jennings only gets 3, and it's going to be punted back to Chicago. The false start Chicago, so 1st and 15. It's run by Sean John for 5 yards. There's Zach Miller, loses 1 yard, so 3rd and 11. Kadeem Carey gets 1. Going to be a flag in Chicago, but it's going to be declined. So Peterson for 1 yard. There's another one for 5 yards. Peterson for 4 yards. See if the Bears defense can hold this. Patterson gets 9 yards there, 2nd and 1. Ponder evades a rush and scrambles for 5 yards. There is Goodwin making a reception for nothing, 2nd and 10 at the 2-minute mark. And there's Greg Jennings for a touchdown. So it's a tie game. Looks like Kadeem Carey hurt his foot there. So see if Cutler can do anything. It's only a game by 1. And here's Marshall getting 13 yards. And here is offsides. There's uh, Jeffrey for 3 yards. There's Bennett loses a yard, so 30 seconds left. There's Alshon Jeffrey. It's overthrown, so it's going to be punted back, and hopefully we can stop them here. There's Cordell pass for 12 yards with 2 seconds left. We're going to try to throw a deep throw, and it's not going to go anywhere. So Minnesota's going to get the ball first. There's Peterson at getting 4 yards. There's Jerome Simpson, caught for 51 yards. And there's Peterson that only gets 1 yard there. And there's Patterson, 19 yards and a touchdown. We lose in overtime against Minnesota. That's a heartbreak. So let's see what happened. So we did have an interception. Jennings, Matt Forte, 137 yards on 14 carries. We kept Adrian Peterson in check the first part of the game. He started getting as the team got tired. So we do have one here. It's by Jonathan Bostic. I guess he blew up that screen pass. So Alshon Jeffrey, there's 4 there. 4 catches that aren't accounted for. Just wow. Ego Ferguson forced 1 fumble, but is recovered by Charlie Johnson. Sacks. Sutton and Bostic sharing 1. Brian Robinson got the only one for them. There's not too much pressure on the quarterback this game. Tim James had 2 defense. Conte had 1. Christian Jones had 1. They only had 1 by Gerald Hodges. Jordan Mills gave it the sack there. Charlie Johnson gave it the other sack there. So, Slosson's 100%. Carries out with a broken toe. McClellan can come back. I think we're going to hold out McClellan for a little bit. I mean, it's an LCL. Kadeem Carey. I mean, what running backs do we have out there? Smith, Pierman, Anthony Dixon, Joe McKnight. Elusiveness, breakaway speed. Kendall Hunter's out here. That's weird. Power inside, breakaway speed, avoid drops. 3rd down catching. We might sign or Joe Bonyard, but he's not big. CJ Anderson. That's weird too. Elusiveness, getting downfield, endurance, kick returns. Doesn't have great breakaway speed. Theo Riddick. He doesn't either. Alfred Blue really doesn't a whole lot either. But let's see, Strunk. No. Isaiah Crowell. We might pick up Isaiah Crowell. I don't see anyone intriguing. Yeah. So I think we're actually going to bring up Isaiah Crowell. Thing is, who we're gonna cut. Because I mean, he doesn't have breakaway speed. He's playing a fullback position. I mean, I want to keep Curse. Keeping Artie Fletcher. know what? I'm actually going to. I don't care if it hurts there. We're gonna pick up another linebacker or another Antone Smith or Antone. Good at picking up the blitz. Kendall Hunter sucks to pick up blitz. Route running, third down catching. Nice someone that can play on special teams too. Elusiveness, hole recognition, third down running, power inside, breakaway speed. Deion Lewis, C. Anderson. Theo Riddick. He's a character red flag. Looseness, power inside, third down running, hole recognition. You could play special teams. Not good at third down. Or Kendall Hunter. Or Ernie Brentley. He doesn't have breakaway speed though. Joe McKnight has hole recognition, elusiveness. Let's pick up. I think what we're going to do, we're actually going to go with someone we're comfortable with giving the ball a decent amount. We're going to go with Kendall Hunter. Power inside, third down running, breakaway speed. His good elusiveness, good speed to the outside, decent speed to the outside. He doesn't drop the ball a lot. Blitz pickup could be an issue. And then route running, good third down catching, special teams, endurance. So we're going to sign Kendall Hunter. Offer contract. Yep. We'll submit this. Be a leader on your team. Yes. Yes. Awesome. Let's look at our lineup. Team Carey is going to be out. Snorris Perry is going to stay out. Chandron. Yeah, because he's going to be there. Because Perry can play special teams, but I mean, he needs some work. So let's get this backfield. Hunter. This is going to be Hunter. Let's see here. Third down catching. Avoiding drops. Blitz pickup. Yeah, I think I'm going to use this. So that's going to be a good one. Also, another thing is I believe I'm going to take someone else out. We're going to Sherrick McMath starting. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I mean, I could use. I'm gonna put Ola right here. I'm going to activate Snorris Perry. I think. Yeah. Because in the end, once Shea McClellan comes back, I'm putting him back on. Put Soros Perry back on the block, and that's just gonna help me shoreline this. Because really, if Sean John goes down or Hunter goes down, I mean, all I have is two backs. So, thank you for joining me. In the next episode, we're gonna be playing. Let's see, Tampa Bay, the Lions, and so hopefully we can beat a lowly Buck team and then get a division win. I mean, Detroit's 3-7, 4-6. Minnesota's at 500 after beating us last week, edging us out. So thank you for watching. Later, guys.